historic, and it does reflect, frankly, the division in the Republican Party over the hardline conservatives, the Trumpies, and some of the others who go back even before Trump. So that division's been there. But again, it's really unusual to see this happen. It's been 100 years before we've even had any kind of second vote. And here we are with, I think, 6 votes already, another one coming up tonight, and we'll see what happens. But whether or not Kevin McCarthy can pull it off remains to be seen.
Now, I would assume right now they're probably gathering in a room somewhere. I would think, hashing things out. Is it going to have to come to? There has to be an agreement. Something has to happen.
That's right. I mean, and really, I don't know. I'm not sure anybody really knows right now. What's interesting is that even Donald Trump called the 20 or so dissident votes, asked them to support McCarthy. None of them did, at least so far as that I've heard at this point, at least. And whether or not a compromise candidate emerges remains to be seen. There's other possibilities. Some folks could abstain, and that could reduce the number of votes you need to win. That's a possibility. One really interesting thing that might be worth watching, and I don't think it's going to happen, would be what if some Democrats crossed over and voted for McCarthy, and if there was a deal made in that direction? You know, could McCarthy make some kind of concessions to Democrats? I'd get a half a dozen or so of those to cross over. Again, I don't think it's going to happen, but that's one of the strange possibilities of this scenario.
That's interesting, because could that happen if the Democrats would they rather have, McCarthy that they know versus someone who might be called an extremist or someone that is more out there? But is that kind of what you're getting at, that they, going with?
For Democrats, they would probably rather live with McCarthy than Jordan or some of the other possibilities that have been tossed around.
Yeah.
And like I say, maybe who knows what deals are being made, but I can see a situation where Democrats might say, well, look, if you give us, I don't know, some concessions on committee assignments or things of that nature, we'll toss a couple votes your way. As I say, I think it's unlikely, but this whole situation is very unlikely too.
Yeah, because at that point, then they could say to the holdouts, "Hey, we're going to the Democrats," and they could play them against each other.
Exactly. It's a very strange kind of, like I say, inside baseball politics, but very strange games being played here.
Many Americans I've talked to, on social media, they don't understand what's going on. Many of them are like, I've had some say, well, why are there Democrats voting if Republicans have control? I mean, many don't understand the process because it's been simple in the past. It's been a simple process.
Well, it's been basically automatic. I mean, everybody knew ahead of time who was going to be chosen speaker and who was going to be minority leader and all that. So it's been a very automatic process. So as I say, the idea that there's any kind of competition is really very, very unusual.
What does this do for the Republican Party once it's said and done? Because you have to have a speaker, correct? You can't go.
Yeah, that's the real hang up. If there's no speaker, nothing else can happen. Even as a matter of fact, at this point, technically, they can't even swear in the new members until you get a speaker. And that's caused some dissent because some of the new members are there with their families, hoping to see them sworn in, and all of a sudden, nothing is taking place.
That's okay. So that's why they're family members, and there's children in the. That's why they're okay. That's why they're there.
Right. That's right.
Okay, I was wondering. I was seeing children and so forth. So they're waiting. If something were to happen, they want to be there to see them sworn in.
And most of the time, it's an automatic process. Everybody gets sworn in. Everybody feels good about it. But this may drag on for a while. We'll see.
When this is resolved, I'm assuming it would be at some point, because
it will be one way or the other. It will be, yes.
What does it do for the Republican Party as a whole?
Well, it's simply a reflection of the deep division that's been there for a long time. Again, really, it's gotten more pronounced with Trump, but it's been there even before Donald Trump. And I think the bottom line is that whoever is speaker may have some tough time governing. I mean, if you just barely win your job and you've got this divided party, trying to get these folks together on important votes may be a tough job for whoever is speaker, whether it's McCarthy or anybody else.
So as a party, they have a lot of work to do.
They do. They got the serious division between what I call the traditional Republicans and the Trump Republicans. That division has been there for a while, and it looks like it's getting, in some ways, almost getting worse, at least right now.
Wow. Yeah, so really prediction, we don't know what's happening.
Yeah, I would make a prediction. I mean, after 6 votes, you get the sense that McCarthy's star is kind of fading. Although all he needs to do is pull a few votes across the line. My biggest surprise so far is the fact that Donald Trump's phone call didn't make a difference between those. I thought that would bring some of those folks across, but at least so far, it has not happened.
Does that show, and obviously I believe I've heard that today by many people, that his influence is not as near as what it once was?
That may be true. Yeah, I think that's also a good point. That he doesn't have the same clout he had 6 months or a year ago.
Wow. So it's, I mean, to watch, I don't know, like a lot of people are just, I did a poll on Twitter and the lack of trust in Congress, many people are just losing trust,
Yeah,
but I mean, it's,
yeah, that's also a good point. I mean, the whole idea of the lack of trust in institutions, in the Congress, the government in general, a lot of other things too. And this just makes it a bit worse because the general public takes a look at this and they just shake their head and say, what are these folks doing? Do they have any idea what's going on? So
they,
it does erode trust in many ways.
I've heard many compare it to like children with like trying to pick teams or something that it's literally, I don't know. I would like to be see the room when they're in there arguing, discussing this right now. But yeah, because at some point you're right. Nothing, if they don't have a speak, nothing can be done.
That's right. Yeah, they can't pass a bill. They can't form committees. Can't swear anybody in. So yeah, they're at a standstill until it happens.
Wow.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you see this coming? I don't know if I saw this
I
coming.
mean, I heard some rumbling about it, a few weeks ago, but I didn't see it quite to this extent. Um, and yeah, even like I would say 5 days ago, I still thought McCarthy had the inside track, and he may still pull it out, but I did not see it coming to this extent so far.
I heard someone say today that House Speaker Pelosi, she would make sure that she had the vote before she went to the floor, like to have it in place.
Yeah,
But it seems like with this now,